What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today we're doing the Opus XI Ice set review. I wanted to start off with some more Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, so we have the remnants from Dissidia and Yazoo, Laws, and Kadaj. Just this engine alone was very, noteworthy, so I decided to put it in here for you guys. Let's get into it. When Yazoo enters the field, choose one character your opponent controls, dull it. When Yazoo is put from the field to the break zone, choose a character your opponent controls, dull it, and freeze it. So it already has like all these cards. This set of cards has three. They each have two effects, and they do have like a lot of synergy and stuff. So, and they're all searchable, right? That's what we want. So the job now laws. The job remnant forwards other than laws you control gain 2,000 power. When laws is put from the field into the break zone, your opponent discards one card from their hand. Very good as well. They're all also relatively cheap, so they're all on curve too, right? Yazoo 2-5, 3-7, and then Kadaj is a little under there, 4-6, but he's got the best effects. So when Kadaj enters the field, you may search for a job remnant other than card named Kadaj and add it to your hand, so you can get yourself any of the other guys. And when Kadaj or a remnant enters the field, choose a character your opponent controls and freezes it. So Kadaj is the one you want to get first, obviously, or hope to pull into first. And as you start building the other ones, it kind of puts a pressure on your opponent, kind of gives you momentum to kind of squeak in damage, and set up a board presence. So it's very good. Very good cards. Wanted to bring that up to you guys. We're going to go to the next ones now, which happen to be the ones I find the most beneficial for Ice. Gentiana from 15. Dull forward, your opponent control loses their abilities. Choose one forward, dull it. So what she does is she kind of makes things a little more difficult for people when they have like certain ongoing effects like field abilities that kind of stay there while they're active and stuff, active and or dull. So it's a very good card, and being able to dull a forward and kind of like negate those effects on the fly is very very well. So just some things to consider. It's usually things that can't be targeted or makes damage reduced if they are dulled. If they attack, right? If they're dumb enough to attack with those forwards or whatever, then its effect will be negated, leaving them open to being able to be targeted or destroyed and stuff like that. She doesn't necessarily work on those like to dull them, but again, it kind of puts them in a position where they can't. If they do attack, then it leaves them open, so it opens up stuff for Ice, which is very useful. It's unfortunate that she's a forward, but I think realistically she'd be absurd if she was a backup or a monster or something like that, something that we could control or like not. Okay, at least this way we have to protect her, so makes her very useful. Idolas, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Also from 15, and I think Ice was looking for something. So for drop backup, EX Burst. When it enters the field, choose a nice character in your break zone and add it to your hand. So it's just a little simple recursion. I know it's not much, but Ice needed something like this. They didn't have a lot of options to recur stuff. I think mostly they used 2-drop backup to get a 3-drop, and then the 6 engine had something, right? But other than that, there wasn't much. So you'd have to play Ice very controlling and a little more reserved. Where now, as this opens up a little bit more, legroom for them as an element, and so you can get pieces as you go through the game or as when you need it, right? Or if you're lucky, you'll hit it on the EX Burst and get something that saves you next game, saves you next round, or saves you in your hand to get the CP, anything, right? It also increases the EX count in Ice X, so something to be aware of. And I think my personal favorite is this Black Mage. It's probably going to be one of the new 2-drop standard backups that we keep in Ice. It's a standard unit, Black Mage. For X, tap, put Black Mage into the break zone, cast a summon of cost X or less than in your hand, paying the cost, then return the summon to your hand after use instead of putting it into the break zone, right? So 2 reasons why I like this card, mostly because, a few reasons actually. 2-drop backup, so really simple to start off with. Breakable, and then as well as value, right? Because let's say we have the CP for this, right? We can tap, break this, cast something as small as the Mateus or all the one drop ones, and lets you like break something, break a 3 or break a Dole, something like that, or even something like Glacia. Being able to play it and then play it again, right? So we'll be able to Dole stuff or discard stuff multiple times, or really have something to play to kind of like help turn the tide, as well as keep it in hand for another like in a response, right? So it does both. It lets you play the card to push yourself forward, as well as stay defensive and be protected continuously. So it's very very good card, very strong card. But we'll move on now. And then last, I ended here with a hero and the 2 legendaries. Umaru is very nice. Again, I think opening up. Let me go ahead and read it. Actually, if you control a card named Mog 6, the cost of playing Umaru on the field is reduced by 2. When Umaru enters the field, choose a forward your opponent controls to put it at the bottom of its owner's deck. At the end of each of your turns, choose one forward your opponent controls, freeze it. So the Ice Water 6 deck is looking more interesting now. There's only 2 Mog 6s, I believe. The one I used to play, that's a 3-drop draw card. You can tap him to draw a card, which used to be my favorite card. And then now it's a new one that says enters the field, draws 2 cards. When he leaves the field, discard 2 cards. So very, very interesting combination here. But being able to put a forward to the bottom of its owner's deck, I don't think we have many things like that now, which kind of is like, it's like 10 times better than, returning it to his hand. It puts it back into the deck. Who knows if they'll see it again? Who knows if they're like waiting for it, or they're waiting to do an S or something, right? I don't know. There's a lot of things there that you kind of just put your opponent back like a step, which is very nice. And then at the end of each of your turns, choose a forward your opponent controls and freeze it. That's good too, man. Like, assuming you were able to Dole something or activate, or they have something, Dole from attacking this turn, you can start putting stuff like keeping them at bay, so they're going to need to start expending more cards. So overall, he's above average for a legendary. He's a decent card. It really is just finding a balance for which Mog to play and like protecting the scenario, right? But he's good. Orphan. When Orphan enters the field, or at the beginning of your attack phase during each of your turns, choose up to 2 forwards or monsters your opponent controls. Place 1 Doom counter on them. Then break all characters with 3 or more Doom counters placed on them. So I guess it's on the field. Choose a forward. Your opponent controls, place them to it. Then break all characters. Okay, so after you place the Doom counters and they hit 3, those whatever you chose will immediately break, right? And so first turn you play him, right? Enters the field and at the beginning of your attack phase, right? So that turn you play him, you're going to be putting 2 Doom counters on stuff. And then the next turn you'll be killing things. You'll immediately start to kill things, right? So assuming he lives that far, it's good. And I believe I read or I heard or someone discussing the rules on these counters. Even if Orphan leaves the field, those counters are still on there, I believe. We'll do some more research on that, or I forget if it's on the review. I mean, like their facts for this set already, but which still makes him a very good card. Me personally, I like that he's 5'9", but I still kind of prefer the other Orphan. But we'll have to see how this one plays out. We'll have to do some testing with this one. Now, Barthendelis, probably the better L in my opinion. When Barthendelis enters the field, choose up to 2 forwards your opponent controls. Deal each of them damage equal to its power minus 2,000. At the end of each of your opponent's turns, Dole and freeze all active backups your opponent controls. So first things first, it has a lot of potential to do to have a board wipe, right? When he enters, if you have any way of dealing 2k to things, which is pretty easy. It obviously depends what you're playing this with. Like in Ice, there's very few things that can supplement that damage, but I think he's going to play really well. He is 13, so 13 I believe has Fire and Ice, which can kind of supplement those effects. And so like being able to board wipe something for like let's say close to 4 to 6 CP is very 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 good. At the end of each of your opponent's turns, dull and freeze all active backups your opponent controls. So two things there. If your opponent doesn't like use up all their resources, if they don't use up everything right on the turn to like either remove him or do something, or they're putting themselves behind for further turns, right? And then if they do use up everything, then it also leaves you like potential to push, make big plays, because they'll be CP starved, right? They'll either have to use up their cards in their hand, or pretty much will use up all cards in their hands and overpay for stuff, right? So the situation that Barthendelis puts on your opponent, if he lives, obviously these are all these cards are assuming they live, right? Because what's cool though is he's in the 4-drop range, so he's not going to be broken like by Bahamut's and stuff, but he is 8K, so he is a little lower there. And I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with these videos. I've been talking about that. The threshold, the safety threshold for all cards is getting higher and higher as all these new cards come out, as the power creep like seeps in. And so he's a 4/8, which is on curve, but he needs to be like, we need to have at least him at 9K, maybe even 10K to keep this really like this effect going on. But really he'd be used for like a board clear, like a cheaper board clear. So keep that in mind. That's gonna do it for the ice cards, guys. I think the ice has a lot of promise. If I haven't been mentioning this too, feel free to like put deck ideas or stuff you guys want to see in the comments for these, and I will take them all into consideration and move on. We have time to make videos now, so I'm hoping you will take advantage of that, like I am. Thanks, guys. See you next time.